Good afternoon on what is a bright, warm and breezy day. It is Tuesday the 5th of July and I have a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. Now this box, I've already done a preview of contents, contains most of the releases that have been put out for Free RPG Day in 2022, and the next thing I'm going to put out is this, which is level 1, and this is volume 3, the issue that's come out for this year's Free RPG Day. It's the Free RPG Day Indie RPG Anthology, and it's published by 9th Level Games. Now in the past, this is the third volume. These have proved sort of like to be the outliers of the releases, because they've always come out and everyone has overlooked them and gone, what's that? It looks a bit odd. Is it a role-playing game? Is it a magazine? What is it? But what it is a collection of short independent storytelling games. And when you're faced with sort of like the array on the table of all the new releases, and you're looking at Pathfinder, the latest release of Pathfinder or Goodman Games, sometimes, or whatever the big release is for that year, sometimes this does kind of get a bit overlooked. And that's a shame, because every time, I've looked at these little books, there's always been something interesting inside its pages, between its covers. Because if you don't like the first game you find on its pages, you go, well, let's have a look at the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and again and again. So you can have an amazing array of choice in this little booklet. Enough that you might play some of these games once, twice, or even more, depending upon your playing group, over the course of the whole year. Level 1, Free RPG Day, the Indie RPG Anthology. The indie RPG scene is a diverse, fascinating and vibrant part of the tabletop role-playing community. Once again, 9th Level Games brings a collection of different ideas from the world of indie RPGs to Free RPG Day 2022. On the cover is a Medusa. Or is it the Medusa? Is Medusa her name and she's a Gorgon? Or are Gorgons balls? We know that indie RPGs can be confusing. What is a game? What isn't a game? What all of these contributions have in common is a unique and interesting take upon the hobby that we all love, role-playing. Inside you will find ready-to-play games about houses full of strange and mischievous creatures, puissant magic swords waiting to be claimed, M3D14 gods, stars yearning to be constellations, bards fighting it out in song and verse, neon rockers calling out their foes for a sword fight, and of course a betrayal at a dinner party. And that's what we're talking about. There are actually a bunch of dinner parties. Welcome to level 1. So, I mean, that's a great blurb. That really kind of sells it. So inside, literally we have that's from the editors, and an audience and tone guide, because all of these games, the thing is, these games will tackle a diversity of subjects, and not everyone's going to be comfortable with them. Some of them will be adult in tone, some will be suitable for all players, some will touch upon subject matters that people object to or are uncomfortable with, and so on. So it does come with safety guide tools, so guide to lines and vowels, so on the X card, that sort of thing. Useful, to almost redundant for so many of us players. I guess we give that a thought, when we're playing certain subjects, but worth repeating nonetheless. So, got a couple of adverts here, and I think enforcing the whole thing, this is kind of magazine style. So Fiasco, which really is, if you think of any indie storytelling game, Fiasco is the first one you kind of think of. And then a couple of that's for an event, and Roll20, so playing at events or online. Before we get into the first game, which is the Victor's Tale, and essentially which two players tell the story of mythic beings locked in battle, rolling dice to determine who gains the upper hand. When the dust settles, only one stands victorious, and only one version of the tale remains. So this is an action role-playing game for 2 people. Actually, it's not. It's actually for more. It's a 2 to 8, but essentially, you still need two players, but it says 2 to 8 there. I think that's a little bit of an oddity, but it says 2 players down in the text. So you are essentially facing off each other as champions, which could be monstrous heroes or heroic monsters, and fighting your way through, fighting each other to the end. And then more adverts, and you can see that these are obviously modern adverts because they've got QR codes. You can just scan those, go immediately to find out what they are. Battle of the Bards, basically competitive and combative storytelling and performance poetry, if you will, quite literally poetry slams. So which you play bards and writing your songs and figuring out what happens in the songs and telling them, performing and so on, and scoring the battle to the end. And then we have Strange, sunlight, a fever dream for an unwilling god and a devoted saint. You're a god, greatness has been thrust upon you, divinity is your response to your burden. Remember, you didn't ask for this, but you did not deny it, and you're a saint, mortality wraps itself around your soul, so you devote yourself to them. It's only natural, you want to belong to something bigger than yourself, to divinity. Remember, you did not ask for this, ask for them, you did not leave them either. So essentially you're telling the story from 2 different perspectives of how they interact, so on. And the interesting thing is that even we have an advert here for Epic Encounters, a very traditional role-playing kind of setup. It's for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Then we have, we see, I believe, Judas, a dinner party, is a polygame. Which is sort of like inspired by The Last Supper, but can be themed to be agnostic or whatever you want. But ultimately, it's a game of betrayal at a dinner party, I'm suspecting. I think that could be fun to play. And even right down to seat exchanging etiquette and the order of the full course meal. So nice little details there. And then whites, you're the descendants of the White Wives, simply called a White. You might live anywhere. Okay. Quite sure what that was. It is all about, but essentially, basically, I think it's basically surviving in the modern world and coping with its injustices as the descendants of whites, and you becoming a white. To the point where you create character and a coven and so on, and face the world of gods, old gods of media. Essentially, you create a fictional character, an old god born into the world by chance galaxy. You discover the lifespan of your god over the course of human culture and history. The god must be discovered by an audience and grow. The god might be forgotten or supplanted. So that's very Neil Gaiman's God's book, obviously inspiration for that. The name of which escapes me. So see, I can do this on the spot, but which is why I can't remember things, because I'm trying to think of them up. And then One Night at Bane House, and you attend a party and have strange things happen. Maenads, a savage sister's sheath. Basically, your Maenads are actors, acrobats, singers, and performers during feats. You travel around performing the entertaining acts. For coin one, unearthing the secret injustices all around them, bringing justice and setting things right. So, sort of like performing performers who perform good deeds. A vessel, essentially about you having to coexist with something inside you. Again, that's for for 2 players, and it needs essentially one player is the vessel, the host for another sentient life force. The other player is the entity. Okay, this is the living force occupying the vessel that does not have a life body of its own. Essentially, it's trying to sort of get by with this sentient thing within you. And then Gods of Rock. This is something which I kind of think it's been sort of like kind of sort of addressed with before, in which you are rock gods performing on the ultimate stage. This is essentially a post-apocalyptic setting, and essentially you are rock gods in the literal sense. The Slate, a game of creation and destruction. It's a game about creating things, giving things a story, and subsequently deciding whether this creation will endure. Designed for 2 to 4 players. The stars were many, and this is it's a solo game where you play 1 star among many. Your constellation has fallen apart. It's up to you to save as many of your fellow stars as you can. Will your constellation reclaim itself, forming into something entirely new, or fade away into the vastness of the heavens? So you've got solo play in there as well. The Marquis, and there's a storytelling game in which people throw an elaborate masquerade gala in celebration of the Marquis has thrown an elaborate masquerade gala in celebration of his ego and as an exercise in terror. This is a storytelling game in which the players, as invited guests, seek revenge for the wrongs committed against them, unaware who may aid or betray them. So again, we have the sort of semi-theme of sort of like dinner parties or events in this volume. Then we to wield the Blade of Ages, which is 3+, and which you make essentially you make a perilous journey to claim the Blade of Ages. Insubordinate. It's an anti-fascist science fiction role-playing game inspired by Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 13. And I think that's almost it. I mean, even got an advert in there for Quests of Yore, which is a big sort of like Hero Quest style board game based upon the film Onwards. So yeah, quite a lot in there, a lot to dig into. Honestly, if you're a bit late to Free RPG Day this year, and this is one of the few things left, this is still worth picking up. I really think that there's a lot of little games in there that are worth attempting, worth trying, in between your other role playing. I think you'll have fun with it. So yeah, that's level 1 from 9th level game, the 3rd issue, released for Free RPG Day 2022. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a box and a book or game which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit that subscribe button. Lastly, I do want to thank David Salisbury of Fanboy3 for providing me with all of these titles for a Free RPG Day 2022, so that I can do an unboxing and do a review of them, so that you can find out what they're like. I really do appreciate the contribution to having content for these videos and for my reviews. And if you're in Manchester at all and in need of a good gaming shop, and who isn't, then I thoroughly, utterly recommend Fanboy 3. In the meantime, thanks again for watching, and I'll be back again soon with another unboxing the Nook. Bye for now.